things, but I can't actually find it and quote it exactly. So great job. So Gary, Yelena, I'm so pleased to be following Yelena, because you've done an amazing job, Yelena. Not only was it presentation, you gave a whole training session and everything, and you've segued beautifully into my slightly more focused area of talking about an element of branding, which is about saving the planet. So fantastic. Really look forward to talking to you again, Yelena. And Gary, next time you have one of these amazing webinars, do schedule me directly after Yelena, okay? Because it's extra power value, Gary. Yeah.
Okay, we'll make a note of that there, Nick.
I've got it down already.
Okay.
Well, this is an interview style. You're welcome to stay.
Yeah, I'm going to interview you, Gary. I've got some questions for you.
Not
Okay.
me. I'm going to interview
So,
you.
I'm used to your random questions, but there's a great question you asked earlier, right? You know, what are you going to be remembered for? Okay. So there's a couple of things that I'm always going to remember you for, right? So have a think carefully about what those are. As Yelena says, just give that 10 seconds to think, and then I'm going to answer, okay?
Okay.
So one of them is, I'm only doing this webinar because of you. Okay, so for anybody out there who's got a new business, wondering which way's up, wondering what to do, if you like the idea of being on screen and you're panicked about it, you've no idea what to do, you don't know how to do it, you need to talk to Gary, and Gary will sort you out. Okay. So the second one is, if you're reading the paper, okay, you've definitely got an iPhone, right? You've got an iPhone, okay, and you've got massive FOMO because you want to be on Clubhouse and you've no idea how to do it. You don't know what to say. You don't know what to do. Again, Gary is your man. So Gary,
You're so
I learned about Clubhouse a week ago on Sunday. No, not this Sunday. Two Sundays ago, I learned about Clubhouse on the Sunday. I said to Gary, we've got to do this on the Tuesday, but you've got to be in charge. I'm just sort of joining in, right? And so basically we did this Clubhouse on the Tuesday, and it was amazing. It went on for 3 hours and we got loads and loads of interesting people.
Very good, wasn't it?
But just before we started, Gary loves doing this. Gary said, just aware of this situation, be really careful with Clubhouse, because I was on this session the other day, there were two people and nobody joined in. And I thought, oh my goodness, what on earth do I do now? So I thought, okay, I'm not going to attack Gary, I'm going to get into action. So I went on the Clubhouse and I invited a load of people, no idea who they were, I just invited a load of people to join in. And suddenly we had no time at all, we had hordes of people joining in. So that's the sort of advice Gary gives you. At the last minute he says, look, change direction completely, don't worry about it, just do it. So you follow his advice and it all went really, really well. So there's two things there, Gary.
So kind.
I could not have done either of these things without you. So big thanks to Gary.
And a big thanks to you, because you put your faith in trying something completely different, and I'm very grateful to you. I'm energized with looking after you. Just for the record, I do look after Charles's digital marketing, and I'm energized that the planet is dangerously close to being too hot, which would mean that things would melt, which means that the whole shift of the environment would change. So please listen out intently to what Charles has to say, because businesses can make a big difference for a very small donation. Like if I was, say, a personal fitness instructor and I'm training 20 people a month, how good would those people feel if you said, once a month I plant a tree for you in Madagascar, and it's very affordable. It's super affordable. And then Charles, you haven't even introduced yourself. Look, tell us who you are, and then we'll dive deep into what the average person in the UK would need, how many trees they would need to make the equilibrium. So who are you, Charles? What's got you inspired to plant trees?
Okay, Gary, I'm going to give myself a very short introduction, and
Go
then
for
I'm going back into interview mode and asking you some questions, Gary. Okay? So you can see on screen, my name is Charles Appleby. I'm the founder of No CO2, that's n0co2.org. We are a charity, we're a non-profit, And what we do is we plant trees. If you donate, plant a lot of trees, then you can go carbon neutral. So that's the idea. Okay, but let me get back to the questions that I'm going to ask you, Gary. So what have these companies got in common? Okay, so we've got Microsoft, IKEA, National Trust, AstraZeneca, which people have heard of obviously recently, Sky, O2. So what have all those companies got in common, Gary? Any idea?
I'm going to say that they have a policy of zero carbon footprint.
Brilliant. Okay, Gary, almost there.
Oh.
Those companies are committed to go net zero by 2030. Now, you might have heard in the news 2050, the UK government's talking about 2050, loads of people are talking about 2050. But you know, we're in a business discussion here, and people know that what only happens if you measure it. So if the target is 2050, people hang around till 2049 and then it'll all happen. And by that time, it's all too late. So we have to have interim targets, and that's why 2030 is just so critical for what we're all doing. So those companies have got targets for 2030. Now, Gary, you've given half the game away, but what have these people got in common? So there's me, okay, and you, my wife, and Jeff Bezos.
We've all planted trees. We've all donated money to plant trees. Some more than others. You've planted a lot, your family. And to catch you up.
I felt pleased. I planted quite a few. So I planted 3,500 trees myself. I mean, by donation, not actually with a spade. Again, this is where the online world makes it so easy. We make a donation here in the UK, and those 3,500 trees create 35 days of work for people who are in extreme poverty and who don't have any jobs. So it's a real circular economy with these folks. But absolutely. So Jeff Bezos did plant more trees. For the $5 million that he put in out of the 10 billion he's committed to action on climate, he gets 35 million trees. So you've got that one. And then the third one, Gary, you know, you're very knowledgeable, so you know this one. You know about Larry Fink?
Go on.
Oh, Larry Fink is the CEO of BlackRock. And so he started to send a letter around to his clients, and there's been a lot in the news about this because he's sort of telling people what to do. So he's saying, so he runs $8 trillion worth of funds, and what he's saying this year, he's saying, we're asking companies to disclose their plans about how they're going to be net zero. So it's been a lot of discussion about this because he's basically telling big companies what he wants them to do. But the point is, for the people on this call who have not yet got multi-billion-dollar companies, the opportunity is that this is the writing on the wall. This is the way the world is going. People expect these things to be happening. I've got another list here for you, Gary. I won't put this as a question this time. I'll give this as a statement.
All right, okay.
The following companies are using carbon offsets, which is.
Should we explain what that means? Because I think it's worth explaining what that means. So if you get on a plane and you have a diesel car and you use lots of electricity, there will be an equivalent amount of trees that you would need to plant to neutralize what the harm you've done to the ozone layer. So that's pretty much what it means. Like in Canada, I think there's 3,500 trees per human being. They're right over there. We haven't got that kind of resources. So Charles, I just thought I'd clarify that, because people, I think we need to demystify that it's not complicated. Carbon goes into the air, the trees turn it into oxygen.
The Yelena gave the great explanation before it even started. She gave the Deepak Chopra quote that we breathe out the CO2 emissions, which are pollution, which our body no longer needs, and the trees are pleased with that because they can then take it up. But what's happened in the world is that the CO2 emissions that we make from what we do, okay, it's not just from living, but what we do as soon as we travel, air travel, as soon as we get in the petrol or diesel car, we use the gas central heating, all these sorts of things, these cause CO2 emissions, right? And what's happened is that the CO2 emissions we've made have got out of hand, And so we've got now massively more CO2 emissions than the world can cope with. We're on a track where these CO2 emissions keep on going up and up and up. And on the track we're on, we're going to be heading for climate disaster unless we do something about it. So that's what it's all about. So back to the importance of these companies. These companies are all using carbon offsets. So the companies that we know: EasyJet, Lyft, which is a competitor to Uber, Delta Airlines, Alphabet, which is Google,
Yep.
Disney, Salesforce. These companies are all using carbon offsets. So they're all planting trees to reduce their emissions. So let's bring it right back now to what we're all talking about. So let's go back to what Yelena was saying. Yelena was talking about branding, what you need to do, what are your differentiators, what you do as a company, what do you stand for, what are your values. Janet earlier today, God, Gary, what an amazing event. We had Lee presenting on
Such a
sales,
lineup.
then you had Janet presenting on sales. I mean, my goodness, guys are getting, you guys here on the call, you're getting everything you need to know about what you need to do to really get, not just started, but get rocket propelled. But what Janet was talking about was that all businesses are here to serve. Everyone's providing service, right? But what we're talking about here, we're talking about a particular type of service here. Let's just start by mentioning business purpose. You know, what really is the purpose of your business? And so this is a fundamental value that goes to the heart of what you're doing, relates to what Yelena was saying, relates to the sort of service that Janet was talking about. So there's a triple bottom line, which used to be people, planet, and profit. Okay? So people have looked at this, and in the last few years, people have adapted this. So now it's about people, planet, and prosperity. So prosperity, not just of yourself, but other people as well, the people around you, the community, the world. So if you're starting a business and you've got going, and you want to differentiate yourself, if you're thinking, well, look, okay, I started this, what are my values, what am I doing differently? And the whole point, Gary, about being a small business is that you can control this. I mean, I worked for these huge companies before, where whatever I said really didn't matter. I mean, did I meet Michael Dell? I probably got pretty close to Michael Dell at one point, but he didn't listen to what I had to say. If you've got your own business, then you can say, hey, what's my business about? What's it really about? Can I adapt it? And so a simple way of adapting it is just to say, really, I'm going to have better values, and I'm going to provide better service. So if you come to me, I'm going to give you really good service. But anyway, so the thing is, think about your purpose of what you're doing, and then go back to thinking about, well, what's all this mean? What's all this mean that what Microsoft are doing, what Jeff Bezos is doing, what Larry Fink is saying, all these sorts of things. So what does it really mean for the opportunity that is your business? What can you really do yourselves in your business? So that brings us back to myself. So who am I? Yeah. So I founded this charity project, NoCO2.org, and so my tagline is "Go carbon neutral, plant trees." So we're not for profit, but we still have to survive as a business. So coming back to some of the discussions we've had earlier, so what we do is we help people and businesses remove or offset your carbon footprint by planting trees at the lowest cost. So that's what we actually do. That's the stuff we do. But our purpose is different. And so this brings us back to what Yelena was saying. So our purpose is to make it easy for people to plant trees so that people can help to stop global warming. So I want people who are concerned about global warming, want to make a difference in the world, want them to come along, talk to us, we can help them, we make it easy to plant trees. So to date, in just over a couple of years, we planted 330,000 trees, and we created 3,300 days of paid work for people who were in extreme poverty.
Brilliant.
So, Gary?
Well, for me, I think that if you're an average person in the UK, driving an average kind of car, how many trees do we need to plant to cover us for the rest of our lives?
Well, what we're talking about today, Gary, we're talking about a couple of things. We're talking about what people might want to do as individuals. So if you're a one-person business,
yeah,
you might want to do this.
yeah.
If you're a household, individually yourself, separate from the business, and then you may be a business and wanting to adapt this for the business. So whatever category you're in, Gary's question is perfectly valid. So the average for the UK, you need to just have as Yelena was saying, have a think about it for a few seconds before I answer. Yeah, how many trees do you think? Yeah, and the answer is 1,750 trees, and you think, oh my goodness!
Wow, that's so many trees. How am I going to do that?
Very big. I haven't even got a garden. Okay, don't worry about it. That's where we come in. We make it really, really easy, and that's why we're planting trees in Madagascar, because the money you pay, which is for those trees, it's £187. Those trees create the paid work for people. They create a livelihood. The trees are grown from seed. The trees are planted out, and the trees create a habitat also for wildlife. So that's the basis of what we're doing. And if you're watching and you happen to be in the US, they create a lot more CO2 emissions in the US, Australia, Canada, these sort of places. So you need to plant even more trees. You need to plant 4,000 trees. So with those trees, the key thing is that every year those trees are growing. This is our unique, our unique differentiator. After 3 years of doing this, no one else is talking about this in the same way. So every year, on average, those trees will remove your CO2 emissions. So those trees in the tropics will grow for 25, 30 years or more. So that every year they're growing, on average, those trees will remove your 7 tons of CO2. So you make a one-time payment, 1,750 trees, £187.
Nothing.
And those trees remove your CO2 emissions, 25, 30 years job.
Instead of buying something material, you can buy that and you're covered. Now, where I want to draw,
14th of February coming up, Gary, Valentine's Day, present for someone for 25 years, yeah?
Yeah, not for the theme. I would say, well, it depends, but I would love that kind of present. I just want to connect the dots, because maybe you're looking at this. What has Charles got to do with a seminar and a webinar to do with starting a business within 2 years? If you were to donate and you could claim to say that you are working towards a better environment, you can then... We give permission for you to put this on your website, and it has a link. And then if they're deciding between 3 or 4 people doing similar things and a similar price, it might just tip them over the edge to say, well, that's a good business and they care about the environment. And I think that this sentiment will become more and more, because we're in danger. Every 15th of the month up until COP22, Charles is doing if you want to learn more, Charles is doing these webinars, and he gets the best speakers in the world. This particular 15th, we've got the young people. The young people are taking over. It's their planet, and they're going to be talking, and that takes quite a bit of organisation from Charles, and he manages to always pull them off. So we get to 1.5, it gets really dangerous for the earth. If you businesses that are starting up can say, look, I will donate a certain amount of money, which isn't a lot, and then you can promote that as a marketing tool, we don't mind. Because how we get there, we don't mind. But if you're going to say that you plant trees, is that fair there, Charles?
Gary, I mean, I love this. I just sit here and you do the talking. You do a great job, Gary. It's another amazing capability of yours. Okay,
you're too kind. Biju is coming on in a minute. He's like a business consultant. And he's been following us. He's been part of it.
Wrap up then,
no, but I want him to come a bit early, because he has actually been on the gravy train of your new interest in Clubhouse. He's been on all. There he is. Hi guys. We've turned him into a tree loving. It was probably before anyway. You've been in.
Let's just finish this off. So
let's finish it.
Clear. Obviously, you're starting up a new business. You've got a lot of things going on. So what we heard earlier, Janet talked about the values and what you're providing. She talked about service. Yelena here just talked also about values and purpose. So as part of that, if you need to differentiate what you're doing, it's a really, really great opportunity. because what I said at the beginning is that the world is changing. It's happening with the big companies. Just within a short period of time, that'll be flowing down to smaller companies and to everybody. Customers are looking for something special. Customers are sick of packaging. They're sick of food miles on what you buy in the supermarket. People are looking for something different. If you're presenting yourself as being green, planet friendly, values as part of your whole package, and then the other thing you can do is to get the customer to in what they buy, to link what they're buying, the trees into what they're buying. So for example, link some trees to what you're selling. So anybody can do that. You may have a particular product that links more to trees or whatever, but even if it's something like a coffee cup, you can still say, well, look, you know, you contribute towards some trees or whatever it is. So just think more laterally. But what I'm hoping is that the combination of what Elaine has said and what I've been saying today really gives you the idea to think about what it is that you're doing for your business, how you can present your business in a way that's more attractive to the modern day consumer who's looking for values and linking to green.
I love it.
If you want to plant some trees yourself, yeah, you can absolutely plant trees yourself. The link is here. I'll put it in the chat. So the website and the link to the chat. And as Gary says, we're talking on Monday evening. We've got a whole webinar on this. You want to join to learn more. And then we're also talking now weekly on Clubhouse. We're aiming for Monday, 8 p.m. weekly with our hosting team. And by the way, Gary, I think we're good now. We can manage without you. Okay, so you've done your job.
I'm still probably pop in. But what would be lovely for Nick? I'm saying that his legacy of putting this together is, yes, we've helped the UK economy grow a little because some of these businesses will have some nous of the right things to do. But also, Nick, the legacy might be that we plant a few trees as well. So before Charles goes, do you want to ask him any questions from both of you?
No, I just wanted to say congratulations. It's a fantastic idea, as well as planting the trees. You're creating jobs for people, and for any business, it sounds like a win-win. You know, it's not a massive amount of money for a business to invest in order to offset their carbon footprint. And I think, you know, congratulations on what you've done, because it sounds like a fantastic initiative. And as I say, you know, we'll speak after, because I'm very interested in getting involved.
Great, thanks, Nick. So my number's on the screen. For people who donate today, if you make a one-time donation today, tomorrow, then you can have 10% off the trees. I really look forward to you coming in. So thanks, everybody.
Charles, before you go, we want to acknowledge you for taking the time. I know how busy you are, and just what have you learned from COVID? What lessons have you taken away before you escape? And if Biju's got a question for you, I don't know if he has, but what lessons have you learned?
For me, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think the really big, deep lesson is around how we are flexible and adaptable in the face of, you know, complete transformation. I mean, you know, up until COVID, I would go to London 2 or 3 times a week, ideally 3 times a week. I'd be going to the theatre, going to the restaurants in London, going out, seeing friends, doing a lot of stuff. And suddenly, and going on holiday, by the way, as well. So suddenly that's all taken away. And it's well, what does one do next? I mean, you know, the whole year's been completely different. It's been on Zoom, it's been learning stuff, a lot of learning about things. Guys, it's a massive opportunity. Yeah, it's a problem, but it's also an opportunity.
Charles, you have a lovely evening, and we'll see you at Clubhouse at 6 o'clock. I think 6:15 we'll be there, just hanging out at the bar.
Great.
See you then.
Thanks, Gary.
Now, our next speaker, it really took me some convincing to get you on here. I tell you, I had to chase him. I chased him like I was marrying him. I found him here and there. I was just super impressed. I was impressed that you had the depth of what you were talking about. I was impressed that you seemed like you had a lot of integrity. I've never seen you speak other than Clubhouse. And here you are. I did chase you around. I really wanted you to speak today, so no pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure. I know you've only got till past. The stage is yours. If you're ready, are you ready, sir?
I am ready. I am ready.
All right,
I've
wait.
changed the title. I know you called it 5 Tips on Entrepreneurship. I've changed the title a little bit.
That's fine. We're relaxed about that. All right, we're going to give you the stage, and we'll jump in around 25 minutes to ask you some questions and wrap it up. And look, I'm very, very grateful that you've made the time to do that.
Thank you so much for asking. It's always nice to be asked. I didn't mean to be elusive. It's just one of those things whereby Clubhouse has blown up the Instagram. It's unbelievable. So,
how many new followers do you get?
I'm in and out of the whole day, so I see that some really good speakers. A couple of people I know Abigail very well. We've done some work together before. But yeah, I'm talking about how to make a game-changing impact. We're in these times now. We mentioned about COVID. We mentioned that pandemic. One of the distinguishing factors in the last few months is the different reactions that if you're an entrepreneur, if you've been in this world, or whether you've been employed and you're in a job and you have some sort of stability, all of a sudden it's like, wow, the whole world is turned upside down. And there's a very defined difference between how those two populations reacted. Entrepreneurs depend on the business. They've had to shut down, reinvent, pivot, and there's a whole sort of uncertainty. Fortunately, in the first lockdown, when we had to go down, when people couldn't go to their jobs, they got furloughed. So there was a bit of certainty. But we're not going to go back to how we were at all. There's going to be a new normal, whatever that new normal is. So I wanted to talk about some just principles that are relevant in terms of a mindset and how you change, how you make an impact in the world, irrespective of what's going on in the world. And I want to draw an example of, it took me 1 year to change my life, but 10 years to prepare. And sometimes we underestimate, it's that iceberg scenario. All we see is the top. We just see the shiny bit at the end, but we don't see the rest of it. Gary, can you see my screen? Just want to make sure you see my slides. It's all good?
It's all good.
Yeah,
hang on. So really quickly, I want to go through just my sort of timeline, right? Starting from 1994. Don't worry, I'm going to stop in a minute so you're going to see it. And the things that I've achieved. And sometimes we underestimate. We have this phrase whereby we overestimate what we can do in a week and we underestimate what we can achieve in a year. So 1994, this is a snapshot of my life in the last 16 years. Psychology lecturer, got married, first child. I was my first job in 98. Actually, no, 94. Second child. You can see around 2007 I left to start my business, and then 3 years later I won Businessman of the Year. At the time I thought great, but it turned out to be a curse. I opened a restaurant, I wrote my first book, I sold a restaurant, my marriage broke up, I conceived the idea of On Spirit, which I'm doing now. I launched a platform, published a book, and then I had this transformational moment in 2019 because although on the outside it looked like I was successful, it didn't feel right. Things were missing. Now, who knew what 2020 drew on us? But the principles that I'm going to talk about today are applicable wherever stage in life. And the principle I'm talking about is this, is life happens not to you, but for you. And also, your life is more about how you react to it than what happens to you. And I'm going to give you some of my own learnings about what I did and how I sort of changed my life around, both from a mind, body and spirit. So I want to show you something. This is the picture that you see, Gary, didn't you? You see these on the profiles. This was a year ago. Hopefully it'll look very similar now, but it wasn't always like that. So 2 years before that, I was a little bit healthy, should I say. In our culture, we call it healthy, or a little bit overweight. It's not the same suit, by the way. And I went for a massive transformation. Although it was a body transformation, it was 20 kilos. So if you, the next picture is going to show you the transformation in its entirety. And you can see here the massive transformation I had over 40 weeks. And the reason I show you this is because this was nothing about diet or fitness. It was all about mindset, about how I saw myself and what I needed to do. And I'm going to talk about now 4 skills, 3 games, 2 tactics, and 1 action you're going to take. And if you embrace these 4 skills, if you recognize the 3 games, if you employ the 2 tactics, and you take this 1 action, I will guarantee you that in a week's time, your mind will shift a little bit in terms of what you believe is achievable. In 3 months' time, if you apply these, you will start to recognize actually you're not even playing at your potential, And in 6 months' time, there will be a significant difference in your life. And that's my commitment to you. So I talk about entrepreneurship. The first thing I want to clarify is, what is entrepreneurship? Now, if this was an interactive thing and I could talk to people, I would ask you, define entrepreneurship. And the majority of people would say, oh, it's someone who's wants to start a business, who wants to create a change in the world, who's motivated by solving problems. And all of those things are correct per se, because the Western definition of entrepreneurship lies in there. However, entrepreneurship is not about business. When you look at the true etymology of the word entrepreneur, where it comes from, entrepreneurship is all about a thought process. And if you think about how people had to and have reacted in the last 12, 13, 14 months, the people who have embraced the thinking, the people who have leaned into the fear, who have not leaned back, is all to do with their mindset and how they think about things. I've had people who've got the same resources, who've had the same circumstances, but because their mindset, they've had different results. Different results. Same resources, same everything. The word entrepreneur comes from a Sanskrit word. Oh, gone back. Sorry, gone too fast here. Apologise. Here we go. It comes from a Sanskrit word, Athena Prena, that when you directly translate that, it means self-motivated. So entrepreneurship is this inner drive to create. It's this thing that you want to do for yourself. And then we've got to ask yourself that when you start to understand it's all about the inner motivation, whatever you do in terms of how you create your life is completely in your control. And I'm going to show you sort of the values I have on my business and how I've adopted this premise, this principle of being self-motivated in all areas of my life. And I encourage you, whether you're listening to this as a fellow speaker or a participant, is if there's one part of your life that's not going like you want it to go, it starts with how you're thinking about your story. And then you ask yourself, okay, what am I avoiding? What action would I take if I knew I was going to succeed? And thirdly is, in the end, you're going to ask yourself that we have one life. You've got to ask yourself that if it was just about my mindset, where do I need to go to ensure I address that to the point where it empowers me? Because as long as you live with integrity, as long as you live with a sense of purpose, nothing else really matters, and the right people will be around you. So my business is On Spirit, and these are the three tenets that we work on. We work on the tenet of understanding what your values are. So what are your values yourself? What are your values in your business? Then we look at your work. How are you going to contribute to the world? What's the impact you're going to make in the world? And what is your mission? So the world has problems. The world has opportunities. The world has things happening that are outside control. What is your role in that? What is your mission? So when I work with companies and clients, the three things I look at are these three things. And then based on the alignment of these three things is then we decide to work with them. So now I'm going to present you 4 skills. 4 skills that if you adopt these 4 skills to its nth degree, is your life will change. And I guarantee you this as well. These 4 skills you already know. You already know. And these 4 skills, part of you already also knows, I should be doing it and you don't. Skill number 1. And this is testament to Gary. Gary, you're going to love this one.
I'm ready.
Follow up. Follow up creates fortune. When you follow up, creates fortune. So you can ask yourself, what is the reason why follow up is not a skill that people adapt? Gary had this vision for this webinar. He heard me once on Clubhouse. So for whatever reason, with the right integrity and the right intent, he kept on pursuing me. He messaged me on Instagram, he WhatsApped me, he WhatsApped me again because I didn't reply, the blue ticks didn't come up. But because he did it with a sense of, not from a place of, why are you ignoring me? I've got something for you. Oh, you don't know. It's from a place of, this is really good. I'd love to see you speak. He kept on understanding my values and kept on pursuing. And the end result was I'm speaking here, which I'm privileged to. But like I said,
we're really glad that you're here.
I'm very glad I'm here. Okay, I'm very glad I'm here. So you've got to ask yourself is when you look at your business and your life, who do you need to follow up on? And I'm talking from a business point of view and a personal. People are going through stress at the moment. There's mental health issues everywhere. Who in your close-knit family and friends do you need to send a message to say, hi, how are you doing? Are you okay? Who in your business context have you not followed up for fear of thinking, oh, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to feel like I'm a hassle. But you know that if you did follow up and you had a conversation and it ended up with them engaging with you because what you have could either solve a problem for them or could make their life easier, you're denying them that opportunity. So Fortune isn't a follow-up and it's a practical. And Clubhouse is a classic example because Clubhouse, you cannot schedule your content. You cannot put a picture up. You cannot put some text up. You have to be there. And if when you say something and you don't follow that up via an Instagram DM or any other conversation, you're quickly found out. So number one follow-up. So congratulations, Gary. Your skill number one is very good. Number two, again, a little bit about what Gary said, relationship first. So Gary he started to understand me when he was listening to me on Clubhouse. So you can ask people is whether you're contacting someone from a point of view of a business opportunity or a personal is make it about the relationship first. Meaning, have in your mind, what can I do for this person? Not what can they do for me? What can I do? How can I offer value to this person? What's the relationship here? So irrespective of what your initial what you want your initial outcome to be, that may or may not occur. What you want to make sure is the relationship is still intact. Because what you don't want to do is, well, I'm going to speak to this person for a specific outcome. The outcome is not available, so therefore I don't care about this relationship. You have no idea. Clubhouse now has allowed me to connect with people that I haven't seen for 10, 15 years. And it's amazing. And because we had the relationship back then, the relationship's carried on. And Clubhouse is a very acute, time-sensitive platform that you can build relationships really, really fast. So, relationship first. Number three, build your game-changing team first. So what I mean by that is whether you're a solo entrepreneur, whether you're looking to employ people, is your team impacts how you make a game-changing impact. So now we're not talking about employees, we're talking about your partners, your collaborators, your associates, your advocates, even your clients, or even you as one of your suppliers. So they are all your team. So ask yourself, what's the team that I need in order for me to perform? And a lot of people fall in trap thinking, as long as I look after myself, I can do what I need to do, and then I'll bring the team, because either I haven't got the resources or I haven't got the credibility to get these people around me. You have no idea the impacts of when you go to approach someone with authenticity and with a sense of purpose, is they want to work with you. Clubhouse is a classic example of that, whereby when you come across with the right energy and the right mindset, is people want to be part of your team. So ask yourself first, what's the team I've got around me right now that allows me to be at my best? If there's holes in there, that's the first place to look. And the fourth one, which maybe I should have done this, Gary, but I'm sure you're glad I didn't, say no, right? Say no is very powerful. And it's easy to say no. And the reason why a lot of people don't find it easy to say no is this. It's because they're not clear about their values, their vision, and their mission. If you look at my first image I showed you with the On Spirit, is if you know what your values are, if you know what you want to create and your purpose and your mission, when somebody comes to you with an opportunity, when someone comes to you with a suggestion, if it doesn't align with that, it's easy to say yes or no. The reason we don't say no is fear of judgment, fear of letting someone down. But it's easy to say no when you can judge whether the thing they're asking you for aligns with you. So when Gary approached me about this, he told me what this was about in terms of helping business owners and small businesses and business growth. It aligned with my vision. So then it was just a question of a logistics, whether I was available, the time of the webinar, etc., etc. So that was a given. Then it was just about the practicality of it. So as long as you know your values and your vision and your mission, it's easy. So my values are growth, excellence, simplicity, and collaboration. So I want everything to be, is this growing my business? Is it moving forward? Simple. I don't think it's overcomplicated. Number three, excellence. Everything's got a level of excellence that pushes my needle. And number four is collaboration. I want to work with people. So look, I'm working with Gary today and Nick and whoever is involved with ClearTime. We might work together again in the future. Who knows? I might approach them for an opportunity. Who knows? but it's about collaboration. So they're my 4 values. And if my 4 values are met, then we work together. So they're the 4 tactics. Does that make sense? That works. I'm not sure. We're all interactive. Gary, all good? Still good?
I'm loving it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the
All
3
good,
games.
all good.
3 games that you need to conquer in order for you to make a game-changing impact. Oh, Siri. Sorry. These are the 3 games. So this is my model that I use around my clients. And the reason I talk about the 3 games is this: is when I started my business in 2013, and I went out there, I did networking, got sales and deals. My mindset was very strong, and I did a lot of action. But the one thing that was missing was strategy. And the reason I knew strategy was missing is because 5 years into my business, I was generating good income, I was getting clients, but there's someone's mic's on, I don't know whether that's on. The evolution. Someone's mic's on, Gary, I don't know whether that's
Yeah,
on.
you're right. Somebody's mic is on. Can I ask everybody to switch their mics on that are part of the audience? Otherwise,
Mike, can we get someone's mic?
I'm gonna mute everyone. Hold up.
I'm getting feedback.
Apart from yourself.
Sorry, cool. Okay, and so 5 years into my business, I realised I didn't really have much strategy because my business had grown, but only from a point of revenue, not in terms of system processes. And then when I started working with clients, I realised that business is a game. And you often find that people say to me, right, is it about mindset? Do you have to have a strong mindset to have a great business? I said, yes, you do. And then it's like, well, what about strategy? Is it important to have a good strategy, business plans and forecasts? I said, yes, it is. Is it important to take action? I said, yes, it is. So it's all 3. So I used to go to seminars, it was all about mindset. Great. Tony Robbins, rah, rah, rah. Then you go to a business course, all about strategy, which is great. Forecast, this and that, great. But you haven't dealt with this. I've got stuff going on here. Yeah, don't worry about it, just take some action. Then you go to someone else, it's all about time management planning. But I thought, hang on, I need all 3 pieces. And there wasn't anything available that actually, it's all 3. So when we go to university and school, you learn about the thing, but they don't talk about what's going on here. Confidence, mindset, your limited beliefs and all this stuff. So I realised actually there's 3 games that you need to conquer. The inner game, and more importantly, 2 things. The context you live your life, which I'll explain, and the impact you make. The game plan, which is, oh, there we go. Let me do this. Why has that gone? Right, so the inner game, all about what happens between your ears, your mindset, the context you live your life, your thoughts, your feelings, and how you deal with emotions. I don't care what business you're in, whether you're selling a widget or whether you're selling, selling yoga, right? You need to have that sorted. The second part is the game plan, your overall strategy. What does the big picture look like? Can you visualize what your life or your business will look like in the future? Do you know how to get it? If you don't, if your game plan isn't clear, it's very hard to stay on track. And that's why people succumb to shiny object syndrome, or people succumb to the point of, I'm not sure I understand. Shush. Or people get to the point whereby they go off track. So what's your game plan? But allowing the flexibility in the game plan, because as you go along, you might have to pivot, you might have to change. But the change is slightly easier if your inner game's solid. And then finally, the outer game, the actions you take. Nothing happens without action, but what are the appropriate actions? And what's more importantly, if you look on the image, it's the consistent and the persistent actions. They're the key. So I want to give you a gift. I want to talk about the context you live your life. So this will change how you organise your day. And I hope you can see this. Can you see this, Gary?
Yep, I can see it.
Gary, can you see this?
I can definitely see it. And the reason I'm on, I'm getting the sense that you want to see the crowd's reaction.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Me, I'm the same. When I'm speaking, I want to get a bit of feedback.
Yeah, that's it. If you stop sharing your screen, it might be easier because you'll then get bigger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. Let me stop sharing to the end of this part. Is that better?
Yeah.
Right, perfect. Right. So I want to show you that the context you live your life is so important. So when we grow up, we're constantly asked, what do we want? Right? What do we want? And what do we want? We want money, we want a great relationship, we want a business, we want a house, we want a holiday, we want all these things. We want all these things. And naturally, as we grow up, we go to school, college, our parents, what do you want? What do you want? All these things, right? So this is about what you want to have. Our mind naturally then goes to, in order for me to want these things, I need to do something. So then we say, okay, these are the things I need to do. So I want to be rich. I could either win the lottery start a business or get a high-paying job. I want to be in a relationship, I need to go dating. I want to be a doctor, I need to go to medical school. I want to be a chef, I need to go to a culinary school, etc., etc. Do you get that? So constantly our life as we're growing up and as adults, we wake up, what do I want today? In order to get what I want, I have a list of things I need to do, right? And our life oscillates between the two. So what happens is, we never ever get to the point where we are being happy, content, free. So let me give you an idea. If I said to you, someone said to me, I want to be, I don't know, the top motivational speaker in the world, like Tony Robbins. And I said to Tony Robbins, right, Tony, give me the manual of how you achieved what you achieved, everything that you did. And I gave that manual to someone else and they copied everything. Would they get the same success as Tony? Now I'm assuming you would say no. But as humans, we've got Google, we go to these seminars, and what we want all the time, we're asking, how can I do something? Tell me what I need to do, because if you can tell me what I need to do, and I do that, I'll be successful. But constantly, that's not the case. It's not as simple as knowing just what to do in order to get here. So we oscillate between here. So we live our lives this way, and we never get to be who we want to be. So the context that I work with my clients, and the context in terms of the inner game is this, is what will be the impact if you started here. So you wake up each day and say, right, I'm going to be someone who's inspirational. I'm going to be someone who plays at the top of their game. I'm going to be someone who's happy. I'm going to be someone who's got an abundance mindset, whatever it may be. All these things, right? And then you say, when you live this way, this person now from that place doesn't sit there and do kumbaya and hope things happen. From that place, they have their list of do's, right? I need to do certain things. So in order to be an inspiration, I need to, I don't know, write a book or speak on stage. In order for me to have an abundance mindset, I need to be able to show the world I can create this revenue, or whatever it may be. So you have a list of do's here based on who you want to be. But when you live this way, you're now detached from outcome. The outcome doesn't matter. So think about the Olympic athlete. He trains 4 years, every single day. Wake up, eat, train, sleep. Wake up, eat, train, sleep. For 4 years. So he needs to be the person who acts like a champion today. He has a list of things what he needs to do. He now gets to the Olympics. He's on the start line. He now there finishes second. He doesn't win. 4 years of training, he doesn't win. Can that person live with themselves knowing they did everything? Absolutely, because they will be in the embodiment of that and he's detached from the outcome. But what he's doing by making sure he does these things is that he's giving him the maximum opportunity. And we as humans live too much attached to the outcome, saying, well, I will do something. If I don't see this result, I must change what I do. If I don't get this thing, I need to change my target. And you're never happy. You flipping live a life like this. Can I swear it's bollocks? Now the impact here, and this is where it really hits home. So these lists of do's, this is what we call the real shift. These lists of do's, what you've got to do throughout your life, look exactly the same as this. So what you do every day is no different. You've still got to get up. You've still got to, make those calls. You've still got to create your products and services and blah, 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 whatever it is. But you're coming from a different place. You're not coming from a place of, well, I've got to have this result. And if I don't get the result, I failed. You're coming from the place of the person you want to be. You take everything you can to take those actions from a place of, this is my strategy, and I'm going to measure how I take this based on what I do. And you don't attach yourself to the result. The strategy is clear, the actions are clear, and the mindset is clear. You don't attach to the outcome, and it's be amazing when you release yourself from that, how much your performance increases. And that's how we work with people around the inner game to ensure that they get the results they want without being attached to whether they get an immediate gratification for an outcome. And that's the inner game. Let me share you on screen again for the next part. Share. Can you see the screen? All good?
All good.
Great. So they're the three games. Hope that makes sense. Right. Two tactics, which leans on from what I said before. is tactic number one is do not attach yourself to the outcome. I'll give you an example. I don't know how many people here, 20, 25 people, 30 people. My duty is to come and serve and give you my insights and my learnings. My success is not dependent on whether you take this on board and do something about it. I'm detached from the outcome. I'm here to serve irrespective. Some of you take away from this, act on it, get a result. Some of you completely ignore it, do nothing. That is not predicated on whether I turn up or not. So when you're with a client, when you're looking to get a sale, ringing someone up, they say no, no problem. They say yes, no problem. You detach yourself from the outcome. So I practice the practice of NATO, not attached to outcome. Everything you do from a place of, that's true authenticity. You know, when you say, yeah, authentic, but, you know, I need to see that thing there. If I don't see that thing there, then, yeah, that's not authentic. Complete detachment from the outcome, at complete service of whatever you do, but you do it to the best ability, whether you're selling a widget, a service, you're a bus driver, a doctor, or a chef. You do it from the point of view, I do my best, and let the outcome look after itself. The second tactic is micro goals. So micro goals are different to normal goals. Usually goals get you to aim for the stars, and if you miss, you hit the moon. Micro goals aim for the moon, you hit the moon. And there are 3 specific criteria for a micro goal. And this is what I use with my clients, but they have to do this every single day. Number 1, they are totally in your control. They are measurable, and they are achievable within 1 day. So I'll give you an example. A micro goal might be, I want to make 5 sales calls. Now, reason that is not a micro goal is you can make 5. You can have 5 sales conversations, but it takes someone else for you to have the conversation. Making 5 dials is a micro goal because it's totally in your control, it's measurable, and you can achieve that in 1 day. And it does, setting micro goals every single day does 3 things for you. Number 1, it actually moves the needle in your business. You actually progress in doing something. The second thing it does is it gives you an outcome that you're not attached to, but an outcome that you can measure. Then, okay, what can I do? I got the outcome I expected, or I didn't get the outcome I expected. Whichever way, you can take another action. And number 3 is when you achieve anything, you just feel good. So setting micro goals in this context release your euphoria. You feel confident, which means the momentum allows you to do something even better the next moment. So that's why we set micro goals. So the 2 tactics, not attached to outcome, and setting micro goals. And finally, 1 action for all of you people, all of you good people. How strong do you know? How strong is your game? How strong is your inner game? How strong is your game plan? How strong is your outer game? I've created a scorecard that allows you to measure each of those games. And I'm going back to it. That allows you to measure those games. And I've actually put it. Is it in? I'll put it in the chat in a minute. Oh, let me take rid of that. Oh God, how can I get? Sorry guys. Let me get rid of that. Get rid of that. So I've created a scorecard. It's completely free. If you go to that website without the W's, changeyourgamescorecard.com, you will fill in. It'll be some disagree, agree questions. You will then get a report at the end that will show you how strong your game is. So you'll get like a percentage overall, and you'll get a percentage on your inner game plan, and out game. So what's the benefit of that? This is what is the benefit. Is you might think the reason you're not successful is because you haven't got the right strategy. That may be so. You might think the reason you're not as successful as you should be, you're a procrastinator and you're not a complete finisher. That might be the case. You might think that you're not successful because you've got stuff going up on here that you just can't get rid of. That might be the case. What I often find is this, is the scorecard will tell you where your Achilles heel is. It will also give you some tips around what you can do to improve the game. And if you wish, after you take the scorecard, you can book in a call with me and I can go through the scorecard with you and show you how you can improve your game and change your game and take it to the next level. So that's my insight in terms of how you can make a game-changing impact. Hopefully that was useful and insightful. I'm not sure if it's appropriate to take questions or anything, but
more than insightful, that was so much value. I recognize how much original content is there. When I look at speakers and I see just it all rejuvenated again, Robbins and Zig Ziglar and all of these people, it's just all of that put together. This is original content. I am so pleased that you came. I'm so glad I chased you like a girl.
Yeah, absolutely. You followed that very well. You were great.
That was amazing. You had me fully concentrating for the whole time you spoke with passion. I wonder, are you a graduate of Landmark?
I am, yes.
Yeah, I recognise a little bit of Landmark in there. But other than that, wow.
Let me put the link in the chat, so anybody that's here, you go to that link, completely free, fill in your details and you get your report. And if you want to book in a call, there'll be an opportunity to book in a call as well.
If you're watching this on the recording, because quite a lot of people have been here since 9 o'clock, this is a genuine coach, somebody who can mentor you and get you through to your goals. He lives what he does. I loved that you mapped out your life. That was so cool. Now,
it's an amazing transformation.
Brilliant.
Just to see that what you've achieved and the transformation is just.
Yeah. I think I've put on about 5 kilos since then, but not the whole full 20.
For the sake of integrity, I promised you could leave at 5:30 and there would be no problem with that. Yeah. But could we just plan out? Can I just ask you what you think your possibilities are? Everyone else, I've asked how the COVID has been for you. Right? I don't care about that with you. I want to know what your possibilities are by the end of the year. Tell us what somebody of your mindset can achieve by the end. And it's meant to be a motivating factor for some of these startups. Wow, if you could do that. Could you tell us where you feel your possibilities could be by the end of the year?
What's happening, the trite answer is the possibilities are endless. The reality of the answer is this: my father passed away early December. Now it was tragic, it was disappointing, but it really made me rethink about what I want to create. I had this vision about creating this big platform, AI technology, and for various reasons, it's not come to realization. So what I've realized actually is I'm going to take 2 steps back in terms of that platform. That platform we realize now in 2022. What I'm looking to create now is, what I try to do is not create certain foundations. So I'm stripping back some of the things and making myself super clear about the foundations around working with the free game. So my vision for 2021 is that over 1 million people get exposed to the changing game philosophy. So we're working on getting systems and processes in place that anybody can be exposed to that, and also have an opportunity to think and behave entrepreneurially, irrespective whether they want to start a business or get a vocation, because that thinking is paramount.
Masterclass. That was Nick, what have you got to say?
Sorry?
I hand over to Nick.
Inspirational.
Very good.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, and listen, I'd encourage you, everybody that clear time, fill that questionnaire in, because it will give you a lot of insight. If they might say, I'm not a great action taker, but the scorecard might say, actually, something's going on up here.
And what's the algorithms behind that? How's that?
I designed the questionnaire. I designed the questionnaire, and then there's I use an application that allows you to sort of work out the percentages and that. And so so figures. I'm a psychologist by trade. I used to teach psychology, so that's my background. I was a.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was your first job. Yeah, I saw that.
Job, so it's those insights plus what I've learned throughout the years. But fill it in yourself, Nick. It will give you. There's one or two things.
It's written down.
The scorecard result does one or two things. Right? It does one or two things. It confirms what you already know, and you think, "Shit, I can't hide now," right? Or it reveals something that gives you. It reveals something that gives you relief. You think, "Wow, now I know where to work," because they might have been poking over here to try and get a solution and not get anywhere, and I realised actually you need to go over here.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Yeah, great.
No, I'm looking forward to doing it. I'll get my team to do it as well.
It's great, yeah.
Really
happy to have a chat and go for it. Listen, guys, thank you so much. I need to shoot off now, but thank you so much, Gary. Thank you, Nick, for the opportunity, and I hope the rest of the day and whatever has been successful today.
In my emotional bank account, you got credit, so just pull on it when you need it, yeah? Pull on it when you need it.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, cool. Have a nice evening.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Nick, well done. You put something. Oh, he's frozen. Nick's frozen. So hopefully. Yeah, well, that was really good. I only heard him speak once, but I was impressed.
I'm all right. You're frozen.
Oh, I'm frozen. Okay. I only heard him speak once, and I was so impressed. I thought, I've got to get this guy as my keynote. And I didn't leave him alone. I was just like, look, when can you do it? When can you do it? I'll move the times around. Even today, he was saying to me, look, I'm not sure. I need to do earlier. And I was like, all right, I'll do earlier. I was willing to move mountains to get him to speak. And by luck or by fluke, he was very good, wasn't he? Oh no, have I paused? Is it just me you can see? I don't know. Nick, jump out, jump in. Tell me if you can see me. I don't know. Jules Theodosiou, our last speaker of the evening. He is Gary. Well, pestered. Yes, Tim, wasn't it? Look, can all the speakers come back on if you can? Don't leave me alone. Come on up. This is the finale at the end. Nick will figure it out. It's been quite a day. I've so enjoyed listening to everyone and just sitting back, and what Nick has created here is quite wonderful. He's frozen. Can anyone else get on the screen? And then we'll wrap this up. Anybody? Just me? I don't know. Who's going to be here? Is it going to be Nick? Good. So we going through the day. Nick opened this up. He said that the intention of the day was to help new businesses, especially with free landlines. Then we talked about the 12 pillars of business, and that was amazing. Maureen, that seems like ages ago. She was saying that be careful, be risk averse when it comes to your contracts. Hey, Nick, you're back.
Yeah, I'm back. I don't know if you can hear me. Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me.
Hear you loud and clear. Hear you.
You can, okay, because you're. I think it's my side, but you're.
I was just running through the day. I was running through the day, so I was at. Maureen was going through 3 legal tips, and it is good to be cautious. We're friends when we make no money. When you make lots of money, it kind of changes. Sarah, she was great. She gave us more than just raising funds. That was a whole look at, like an MBA almost, of how you start a business and where to look. Kate,
absolutely, she covered every angle.
She really did. Kate Strong, wow. I don't know. What did you think of Kate? Wow.
I thought she was great. I thought she was inspirational. And I think what she's trying to achieve, what was it? Cycle the length of America, swim the channel, and then climb Everest, or something absolutely bonkers. But listen, what she was talking about, resilience, and it was actionable as well. I really felt it was actionable, which was great.
So then we moved over to Tim, and that really is great advice to all you startups. Your network is your net worth. This puts you in contact with thousands of people all over the world, and you probably wonder, oh, I don't like the rejection. I don't want to be with people. Come out. The real growth happens out of your comfort zone. Then what happened there? Boyd was meant to be at 250, but he said, look, I really can't. I need to do it now. And he was like a man on fire. I know Boyd. Yeah. Boyd was motivated by his experience in hospital.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded like he had a very hard time, but no, look, listen, he's very much resonated with me, because that's what I've been doing. That's what Cleartone does. All we do is sales over the phone. So very, very much.
One of the highlights of the day for me, Nick, seeing Boyd that driven and wanting to share knowledge. So Janet was great. She talked about the whole spectrum of sales and how not to be afraid. Abigail, another one. I was just, I can hear her talk all day. What do you think of Abigail?
Yeah, no, listen, I thought, again, very, very, I think it's one thing talking in the principles, but things that are actionable and things you can actually work on, and things you can do today to make a difference to your day-to-day and make a day tomorrow. So I thought, yeah, Abigail was great as well.
Then it was Julia, how do you say it properly? Yelena, that's it. Wow. Yeah, she academically, you can tell she's got such a high IQ. She's talking at a real higher level. Took lots and lots away from self-branding. Loads of notes. Just didn't stop writing.
No, absolutely. And some of the examples she gave and the details were really interesting and again, actionable.
Charles was our wild card. He really, I wanted to bring Charles in because really the environment is so special. We've only got one chance at this. There he is. We only really got one chance. So if you listen to that, you'd go and take him up on his offer of 10% off trees. And remember, it's a charity.
So Gary, you're always doing something different. I've never been called a wild card.
You were the wild card.
But because we're planting trees, then I'll say, Gary, great phrase. Yeah, we're the wild ones planting wild trees.
You're the one. But I hope we made the difference, because what Cleartone has done here, they're taking a little bit of a risk, and to leave a legacy of lots of phone numbers and people landlines and planting trees, and that's quite something. I'm going to go to bed very happy tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, this is something that can, after this event, people will still be able to hear you speak, Charles, from the event, and hopefully from there be able to, take on board what you do and join in on what's a fantastic initiative.
I take a big sigh, because I can look at our work, and we got to the end, and it was quite something. It exceeded my expectations of the very first Cleartone webinar. We're very lucky that we had all those world-class speakers that charge thousands and thousands of pounds. It just happened to be free on the right day, just to do the next one better. Nick, do you want to wrap it up? Should we just say one last time? 0207 101 4040. There is a opportunity to have a free landline, and then it gets transferred to your mobile, giving you more credibility and trust.
Sorry, just point of order. The free service is to UK landline, but the number itself is free anyway.
We need the small print.
So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And Cleartone, this is their vision of setting really the pole, saying that they want to be the #1 telecommunications company in the country. If you look at their reviews, just today, by like, we didn't set it up, someone said they'd been your customer for years and how brilliant you were.
Yeah.
So we didn't set that up.
That was very complimentary. No, that was not at all set up. So no, it was great, and look, I think more and more people are going to see this webinar as the time goes on. So I think it's going to be great. It's been so useful, so insightful, and so many actionable plans, and we've covered such a range area, from finance to self-motivation, to sales, to social media. So it
was really a good mix.
So many fantastic
different people, different ages, different nationalities. We had different from as far up as Manchester down to London. We had it all in between. So I think the mix went well. Female, male, it was good.
Yeah, we also had someone from mainland Spain as well who was talking. You might have thought she was in the UK, but she was also in mainland Spain. So yeah, no, it's been fantastic.
Amazing. So we're gonna wrap this up now. As sad as it is that the end of the learning has happened, all the speakers gave something extra at the end. What Cleartone plan to do is everyone's email that we have, we're going to send out another email with their offer and how you get in contact with them. So watch out for that. That will come to you in the next few days. If you want to be on the mailing list, just ring 0207 101 4040. We're not going to persuade you to have a landline. Just say, look, I want to be on the mailing list. The power of a telephone number, don't disregard it. I'm going to let Nick wrap this up and call this to the end. Potentially we might do another one of these. Keep an eye out for the emails and we'll let you know. Nick, back over to you to wrap the whole thing up.
Yeah, no, listen, I've said, I think it's been a fantastic day, covered lots of topics. Thank you everybody, to everybody that's been involved. All of the guys in the background that have been answering the questions and sending out the tweets and drumming out the interest. I think all of the speakers have gone above and beyond what we expected. And thank you to Loving Social Media as well for their input, and Gary, yours as well. But as I say, I think it's been absolutely brilliant, and we will definitely be doing another one. And yeah, can't wait for it. And as Gary said, if you're interested, give us a call. get yourself on the mailing list, and we can go from there.
I've loved being part of the team. I'm in my happiness element here. I like putting these things on technically. Look, it's really complicated, and I love that complication. So look, possibly give it another 10 weeks, 13 weeks. We might put on another one. Watch this space.
It's not next week. Not next week.
No
but
way.
it will happen.
No way. Right, I'll see you all over at Clubhouse. If you are watching, we'll be over there. Abigail is leading that one. Have a nice evening, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.
Well done.
See you in the WhatsApp group. Bye. There you go.